Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present. I'm Julie Livingston, and I have a public relations consultancy called WantLeverage Communications. And we help, through public relations, we help under the radar businesses to get noticed and to outshine their competitors so that they can increase their website traffic, their social media traffic, and their industry leadership. We really elevate a company's reputation by enhancing their thought leadership, by getting their thought leadership out there in the public domain, and by reinforcing their competitive advantage through storytelling and by getting the media to feature them in news stories and television and radio segments or online media, and by building awareness for their name and their brand, and also building niche expertise. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I have more than 30 years of experience in marketing, communications, and public relations. I've held senior staff positions in marketing communications at Scholastic, at the Toy Association, where I also oversaw marketing for the annual toy fair at the Javits Center, which was an amazing event, so fun. Brings in buyers and people from around the globe, as well as education marketing companies. This is my third time being an entrepreneur, and was something I really, really enjoy. And I am a 3-time member of New York Women in Communications. I've overseen communications, I've overseen membership and mentoring, and I even brought a reverse mentoring initiative to that organization. I didn't invent it, but I brought that to New York Wiki because I myself, about 8-9 years ago, had difficulty mastering social media and asked a younger colleague of mine to teach me. Well, I mentored her. And I spoke about that on Fox News, which is on this clip, which I could share with you. Well, you want to see it now? Should I show it?
Your time. So
sure. I'll do it quickly.
We are back. So a lot of great organizations provide mentors to young people. But what about students mentoring teachers or junior level professionals mentoring senior level executives? Well, New York Women in Communications has created a unique reverse mentoring program. And here to tell us all about it, Julie Livingston as well as Ramona Ayala. Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you both. So tell me about New York Women in Communications first.
New York Women in Communications is a New York-based professional organization of women throughout the communications industry. Digital marketing, journalism, magazine publishing, book publishing, public relations, and marketing. And our members are junior level professionals, even students looking to go into the communications field, as well as senior level professionals.
So Julie, you come up with this idea of reverse mentoring. How did it come about?
Well, the idea for reverse mentoring actually came from my own personal experience. As a senior communications professional, I realized that digital technology was just changing constantly. It was very hard for me to keep abreast of that. But younger, more junior communications professionals, they're digital natives. They've grown up with technology.
So I won't show the rest of it now, but you get an idea of how I am on camera, my level of expertise, etc. That's something, it's a program I'm pretty proud of. I actually co-produced the New York Wiki Matrix Awards the year President Clinton was a special guest, and I've received my master's in communications management in 2010. So I went back to school later in life from Syracuse University's Newhouse School of Public Communications. The services that we offer are the services you probably are familiar with that most traditional PR agencies provide. Media relations, we help companies and brands get featured in the media outlets that matter to them, from industry trade publications to consumer business publications, online media, etc. We provide media coaching. So just as you saw me on camera, well, I also prepare my clients to do press interviews so that they really come across as professional and informed, and so they're really familiar and fluent with communicating their core messages. We promote thought leadership. We do social influencer outreach. I've done a lot of that. And we also broker strategic alliances between companies and other organizations that really extend their reach. We manage crisis communications. We also help companies to make industry award selections and help them apply for those industry awards that, again, bump up their credibility and their visibility. And we also provide help with creating terrific sales communication tools. So materials for trade events, et cetera. We take those key messages that we develop for PR and we create them in a different way for selling. I thought I'd show you some of my results. For the Women Presidents Organization, it was their 20th anniversary, which in and of itself is really not newsworthy. I know a lot of companies think that once they've celebrated an anniversary, that the media should be interested. Well, they really aren't. And so you need a bigger story behind that to really get that kind of news hook and interest. The news hook here was that there was a research study done about second stage women business owners. And we were able to get that story in Forbes, where that article talked mainly about mentoring and sharing information and the camaraderie that the Women's President organization had created. But we also were able to write a thought leadership piece on behalf of Marcia Firestone, their founder, which I placed in Crane's New York Business. And that was a prime outlet for them because it really showcased their industry leadership. For Next Tribe Magazine, an online digital publication for women over 40, this is a magazine that's really fledgling. It's in their early stage development. It hasn't been around for that many years. So they were sort of under the radar. We wanted to put them on the radar. So we were able to develop key messages and interesting news tidbits about women over 40 and how they're really thriving and actually developing new businesses, going into entrepreneurship at an astounding rate. And so we were able to place their content in Next Avenue, which is a PBS publication, Healthy Women, Thrive, which is a publication that is from Ariana Huffington, and more, which really raised their visibility and drove their website traffic. For a health nonprofit, MedShadow and DES Action, which are sister organizations, I was able to develop subject matter experts. These were pharmacists, doctors, other medical specialists who could talk about the potential side effects of drugs. That's what MedShadow was all about. And so I developed strategic alliances with some major publications, including Reader's Digest, Healthy Nation, and Next Avenue. So on a regular basis, the organization's thought leadership in authored pieces was published. I also wrote thought leadership pieces, opinion pieces that were published in The Hill, which is a political paper that is very prestigious to get into. And we were in there several times. I'm not going to go into that. Skip forward. For One Day University, I have done a lot of work in the education space. We had terrific research coverage. Again, this is a company that has also been a little bit under the radar. There's a lot of competition now in the adult ed space. So we were able to get them in the New York Times, Inc. magazine, and the Orlando Sentinel because we had some great research data points to share. I'd love to answer your questions about public relations, if you have any, and how it works. PR is different than advertising. A lot of people often confuse the two things. Public relations has enormous credibility because it's really when it happens when you get other people, mainly the media, but could be other experts, to talk about your company. So it's sort of a third party endorsement. And that carries enormous credibility. That's so different than advertising, where you're actually writing your own message, you're paying for the advertising placement, you control that message. But when someone else is talking about you, you know, when you're identified as a subject matter expert and you appear on National Public Radio, or you appear in the Wall Street Journal or Entrepreneur Magazine, wow, that's an enormous endorsement, right? Because the reporter picked you to be that kind of a spokesperson. And it's it's a really powerful thing. So we help to broker those kinds of relationships and help to cultivate a company's reputation, and build relationships that can help to extend their reach. For example, we've brokered partnerships between different nonprofits, a small one with a larger one, thanks, Mike, to help to participate in research studies and in programs that the smaller nonprofit would never have access to.
So there's about 4 minutes left, and we do have a couple of questions. So
Please,
Jason had asked in the chat, what does second stage women-owned businesses mean in this context?
Women Presidents Organization is made up of female presidents of companies that are second stage businesses. They've been around for a while. They have secured funding, and so they are beyond the startup phase.
Okay, and then from Bryce, who's your ideal client and who do you usually work with?
My ideal client is a company that's kind of flying under the radar. Could be a company that's been around for a number of years and has achieved a certain status, but all of a sudden their sales are starting to wane or their social media traffic is starting to decrease a bit. We help to elevate them so that they really can stand up and tout their competitive advantage in using different storytelling kinds of methods. As I've noted, I have done a lot of work in the education, nonprofit, and association space, but we also have worked with manufacturers and technology companies.
All right. Let's see, Lucienne, how do clients measure their return on investment with PR?
PR is definitely a longer term investment. It takes time to build that notoriety and that visibility for a brand. Companies can reap the benefits by seeing an uptick in their website traffic, by seeing more followers on social media, a deeper level of engagement and commentary. And there are other ways that you could connect sales of certain products if there's sort of a specific call to action in a PR message that's going out. I don't love doing that because, as I said, public relations is really an image building and a reputation building process. And it's not, you can't always directly connect it to sales. So I do like to be honest about that.
Okay, so thank you. Bryce actually had 3 questions. I pulled out one, but don't seem to be any others in the chat. But so one of his questions, it sounds like you have a number of services. What's your price point, your sweet spot?
My sweet spot is for a retainer. We often work on a retainer basis, and that runs from $5,000 a month and up for a package, a basic package of public relations services. Every client proposal is customized. We do also work on a project basis. I do not really work by the hour. The
Cool.
PR doesn't function that way.
Another question he had, what's the outlook for 2021 in the new normal of the post-pandemic digital focus?
Well, I do believe, and I have started to see this. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so I hope you'll connect with me there if we're not already connected. But I am already seeing a positive outlook. As the vaccine gets rolled out, I do believe that companies will have a heightened focus around their marketing and communication and brand building. I mean, business has to go on, right? So I am definitely seeing some movement in my own business that's positive. And just, in connecting with so many of my marketing communications colleagues, I'm seeing that as well.
Very good. 9 seconds left. Good timing.
So if you want, please let's schedule a PR discovery call. You can email me. I'll put my email in the chat. And also feel free to, no, wrong thing. I want to also share, I'll get it in a minute. I want to share that I do have a free downloadable that you can, go ahead and download. And if you have any questions, it is entitled 7 Tips to Building Industry Authority.
Thank you very much. Okay, I've just dropped into the chat the order of introductions, presentations, however you like to call it, based on how people showed up. So you can look at that. Sarita, who is new, welcome Sarita. Victor Lee, Mark Tebold, and Bryce, Lucienne, Jason, Gardner, then Jason Cement, and then finally Audrey. Thank you for joining, Audrey. I will switch to speaker view. Why don't we do 2.5 minutes? And since this is our last meeting for the year, if you have any New Year's resolutions, whether business oriented or not, feel free to share, because the more you talk about it, the more you're committed. Okay, Sarita, you are up. I have my my handy dandy phone here. You'll hear it when it goes off. Go for it.
Okay, great. Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here at my first TRN meeting. So I'm Sarita Jackson, President, CEO of the Global Research Institute of International Trade, mouthful, so just remember GRIT with 2 I's. I'm based in the Los Angeles area, and my firm is a research institute and consulting firm where I conduct my own research to help businesses. Is customized market research for companies that are looking to increase their sales, their revenue in the overseas market through exports.
Cool. Do you want to tell us your ideal clients are, and maybe an example of some stuff you've done, and then finally that New Year's resolution?
Yes. So my ideal client, I've worked primarily with small businesses, but now, well, actually, this is tied into the New Year resolution. Scaling up and working with more mid-sized companies that have the budget really for the more sophisticated type of research that I do. And yeah, so as far as the New Year's resolution, it professionally is just to scale up and reach those mid-sized clients.
And so I think we're going to categorize you into market research, since your focus is market research for people that want to expand their exports. You'd also mentioned you have a regional focus?
Yes, so regional and industry-wise. So regionally, I've done a lot of work with companies that are interested in sub-Saharan Africa, or they're based in a sub-Saharan African country trying to get their product into the US, as well as Latin America and the Caribbean. So I do speak fluent Spanish. I've worked professionally throughout Latin America and the Spanish-speaking Caribbean. As far as industries, I do work with manufacturing companies, mostly in food manufacturing, as well as the services industry, financial services. So it's not just products, but actual services. And so April of next year, I do have a book that is scheduled to publish, focused just on that, international trade and services. That's a topic that often gets overlooked when you talk about imports and export. So it's a practical guide on how to export a service and understand trade agreements and what they mean for service providers to compete in overseas markets.
Wonderful. And thank you to Jason Cement for introducing me to Sarita.
Yes.
Okay. Victor Lee, you're up.
Thanks, Michael. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see all these familiar faces and a couple of new faces. I think it's a great way to round out the end of the year here. So I've spoken with a lot of you about one of my current projects. I actually have a new one, which I'll mention as well. So, my current project is Fetch Pro, which is the super hotspot app that we've developed. I think I've had very extensive conversations with a whole bunch of you here. Some of you, I think, are on the system, but basically what we do is we provide fast and secure internet access to people who are outside the office, whether they're working from home or if they're, working in, coffee shops, or, as people start to travel a little bit more. And it's certainly something I'd be happy to talk with anybody about as well, because it's obviously a continuing need that companies and teams have. I've actually just taken on, this is my New Year's resolution, I guess, is to make a success out of my new project. So I'm basically signing on as a CMO for an interesting new company. So the problem we're trying to solve is that seniors, which I define as anybody who's more than 10 years older than I am, are often, reasonably independent, but they need help, going to the doctor, going shopping, going to a hairdresser. And often the person who provides that help is one of us, a boomer in effect. And the boomer, we have our own lives. Often we can't be there and so on. So we've developed a service where you can have on-demand, a la carte accompaniment for elderly folks. We can take them to the doctor, we can take them shopping, and so really provide them a level of mobility and independence that they might not otherwise have, and where they don't necessarily have to rely just on the kindness of strangers, neighbors, relatives, friends, that sort of a thing. So I guess my ask for this morning is that we are just launching the service. We launched it right after Thanksgiving in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens. Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens. And we're looking for people who are interested in being our initial customers. So if you know of anybody, if this is your situation, that you have relatives who need some help within those areas, or if you have friends who have relatives who need that kind of help, we'd be happy to chat. So we think it's a big market. There's a big need, and especially as we start to come out of the lockdowns, people are going to want to resume normal life. So happy to chat with anybody, and I'll send some information around about this. Thanks.
What areas do you serve?
Right now, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens.
So I'll mention that Julie Livingston's husband is in the services.
I just sent a message to Victor. You should connect with my husband.
I just saw it. Yes, fabulous.
His company is New York Financial Organizers.
Perfect.
It's NYFO.NYC.
Thank you so much, Julie. This looks great.
And he works with seniors, helping them manage their money. I mean, not
exactly
investments, but more like their spending. Okay, wonderful. He in fact,
Michael, can I jump in on one thing before?
Sure.
One thing that popped into mind from direct experience with my parents, you should have an IT division. I don't mean like hardcore IT, but like helping the old folk out with configuring their iPhones. That will sell like hotcakes.
That's interesting. So like a what do you call them? What are those guys at Best Buy?
Yeah, or like the Apple Genius guys. It's just people who are like super friendly, know all the tech, can remotely talk with your grandma on how to set up her iPad. You're laughing.
That's an excellent idea. Okay, great. Thank you, Jason.
No problem. Yeah. I just take 0.5% on all revenue going forward.
You fair?
Sounds good. Mark, T-Ball, if everybody would mute, because I have it on speaker view, so it keeps on swapping. I mean, obviously, when we're having a discussion, we could open it up. But Mark, you're up.
Okay. Hi, Mark T-Ball, Growth Strategy Advisors. I've actually connected with several people here. In fact, I spoke with Bryce yesterday, and I'm going to check out, probably today that. And Victor, I will get Fetch Pro installed. I have all the information, and I'm probably going to do it. But anyway, what I do, I do pre-branding effectively, and I do it mainly for private clients, private equity groups, investment banks. And so I do some market research, but not the way that Sarita does it. Mainly my market research is more geared toward competition, positioning, finding where a specific company exists in the market and finding potential partners. So, and in the case of private equity groups, people they want to buy. And oftentimes I can't talk them out of buying it, even when it makes no sense, but that's another whole story in and of its own right. But basically that's what I do. So I'll go through and I'll do quantitative research. So I'll do I'll build segments. I will do some qualitative. I do a lot of interviewing. to try and find out, add some flesh to that quantitative. And I do at the back end some customer experience work. So that tends to be very big. That's something I really did a lot of at Lowe's, and I really enjoy doing that. And that's what I do.
Any New Year's resolutions?
Good question. New Year's resolution. Hopefully get more business this year. I mean, I was doing well in 2019, and I was doing moderately well up until about March, and then it's kind of dropped off since then.
Right. Does most of your business come from networking?
A lot of it comes from networking and from the thing that's tough for me is a lot of the work that I do with private equity groups and investment banks, they don't want you to deal with certain other private equity groups and investment banks. And so there's all these Chinese boxes that are set up that, you know, that you can talk about certain things and not so much other things. So it's a challenge.
That's a variant, I guess, on the Chinese wall, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So Bryce, you are up.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity, Michael. And yeah, I had a really great chat with Mark yesterday. I've chatted with a number of you already. So to the people that don't know me and I haven't chatted with, let's chat. So my name is Bryce Wade. I work with Mind of a Marketer. We're kind of a technical marketing agency. Technical in the sense that we create some really unique products that we white label to other marketing companies to fill in gaps in other people's offerings. We have a focus in 2021 for really scaling our company up. So my sales team that I run, I'm VP sales now. We're going to be focused on service-based companies for what we're going after, but there's actually three sides of the company. So that's number one. Number two is white labels. So like I said, we white label a lot of our technologies. So we're bringing out a suite of new products in January. One in particular is really suited to very high level, very large clients. Basically, we can save them a ton of cash on their PPC spend, so they can reallocate that money to other places. So if you typically get a objection working with enterprise level clients that, hey, you know, we'd love to, but we don't have the money for that. If they spend money on PPC, there's a good chance that we could help them out and save some money. And the way that we do that is basically to not drop into the technical aspects of it. Basically, if a company spends money on PPC and they rank number one in organic search for that, we can actually take that ad down so that people click on the organic instead of the PPC, saving that company a ton of cash. So we're going to charge on savings. So if the company spends like $1 million and we can save them 250, we'll basically charge them like 30% of the 250. And we're offering commissions to people that send us business for that. So there's a big opportunity here for very lucrative and easy sales, easy all things considered, for enterprise level clients in 2021 after we release. So if anybody has anybody that'd be interested in that, reach out to me on LinkedIn and we can have a chat about that. But yeah, and that's kind of the main two areas of the company. And then the third area is for doing really large scale, taking swings at market share. My business partner, Oro Flamata, was that it, or is that a warning? You're muted.
You can finish up your thought.
I was just going to say that my business partner does like really high end companies that want to take swings at market share, because he has a lot of experience doing that. So we have a lot of unique products that we can kind of amalgamate and be like, hey, you want to take over your industry in this particular city or this particular industry? Let's have a chat.
Cool. Thank you so much. And so a lot of the technology, from what I understand, is oriented around PPC.
It's oriented around the idea of if your clients or customers can't find you, they can't buy from you. So not PPC specifically, but the one that I just mentioned. Yes, that's around PPC.
Very cool. Okay, Lucien Harriot, you are up.
Great. Thanks very much. Julie, that was an awesome presentation. Internally, I was groaning when you're going to show your video, but I'm glad you did. It was clear and concise, and it helped me understand what you do with credibility. So that was awesome. My name is Lucien Harriot. My company is Mechanism Digital. We love movies and we love marketing. We have a digital studio which produces movie magic for marketing and entertainment, for feature films and television. Our artists produce visual effects and opening title design and graphics. Visual effects includes replacing a background on a green screen, or replacing a mobile phone screen or a TV screen, or adding gunshots and explosions, or sometimes just that annoying microphone that gets in the shot. On the marketing side, we use our movie magic to produce corporate communications. We have a focus in pharmaceutical and medical. We used to do a lot of trade shows. Now we're seeing a lot of that online. We produce 2D and 3D animations explaining how things work, motion graphics. We're now developing a lot more interactive augmented reality and virtual reality apps. Our studio, we would create microscopic animations that educate doctors. It's hard to stick a camera inside somebody's body, so we talk about how a cell and a virus interact, and then how typically the drug saves the day. Actually, a lot of times we're explaining the disease. It's a lot more about education, and then of course the pharmaceutical company has a solution for that. So using our 25 years in digital media, we help B2B marketing professionals tell their stories in innovative and memorable ways, using the latest visual effects techniques and movie magic. The best leads for us are television producers and post supervisors. That's on the TV and film sides. But on the corporate communication side, our leads are marketing executives, a lot of medical education agencies for big pharma. We do a lot of work with them. I'm Lucien Harriot. This is Mechanism Digital. I'll drop my contact in the chat. My New Year's resolution is we're moving a lot of our big rendering to the cloud. So AWS is going to be a new chapter for us. So we're still going to have our studio, but since everybody's been working for remotely for the last 9 or so months, maybe longer, we realized that we can, instead of continuing to buy new servers and computers all the time, we're just going to rent them. So that's exciting. Thank you, Michael.
Okay, thank you. Very cool stuff. Have you done any? I put it in the chat. Have you done any coronavirus animations? I see them all over the place.
You know, we haven't. Most of the medical stuff we do is like years in the making. It takes lots of time for it to be approved. I mean, obviously Corona's all being fast tracked, but that hasn't been our clients. So, but I'm sure we'll see that in the future, right? It's now starting to affect a lot of the education, because they're talking about what they call comorbidities, how Parkinson's is affected by Corona. So there is more of that coming up. Yeah.
Cool. And there's a quote, something from Jason here. You can look in the chat.
Right.
By the way, everybody should drop their LinkedIn in the chat. Jason, the two Jasons are coming up. Jason Gardner, then Jason Cement, then Audrey. Jason Gardner, you're up.
Am I up? Okay. Greetings from Paris, everyone. Thank you, Julie. It's great to see you. I've known Julie and Peter for forever, feels like. Right. So I'm a photographer and videographer, and on the commercial side, what I do is I shoot the why, not the what, which means I photograph for clients, corporate clients and nonprofit clients, doing things like capturing the abstract details and larger campaigns behind the motivations of their value-added proposition. Since I'm not shooting a lot right now, I've been recently focusing on selling prints online. So currently, in the next week, my great lead for me would be anyone who needs to get a last-minute holiday gift item. I sell my prints online in 3 sizes: 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17, and 17 by 22. Most of them are for my travel around the world. It's the Armchair Traveler series. I put it way up in the chat, but I could resend it as well. And the idea of a little bit of escape for those who can't escape. And the prices are quite budget friendly. It's not crazy fine art gallery prices. And I'll share with you guys one thing that I found interesting. I usually just sell in 2 sizes, but I decided to add a third. And I found that it hits my market in 3 different levels. The smallest size are ones that are most entry level, people who have not bought from me. But I put the largest size just as a lark, just to see. And a few people did, in fact, purchase the larger size. So my lesson to you guys is put it up and they will come, right? And in terms of the middle size, it was fascinating because some people who I thought would be entry level opted for that middle level. So I just wanted to do a little learning moment for you guys. Yes, I'm including free shipping for you guys as well, and I will send that along in the chat when I'm done with the call. And let me know if you have any questions on that stuff. How much time do I have?
At 25 seconds.
Awesome. As an addition to that, if you see the link I'm going to send is the store, but I'll offer to you guys, if you see any image on my site that you want to get printed, there is an option in the store to click on any image, and you just put in the notes which one you like. And each photo has a discrete URL, so you can just pop in the URL of what you like. Very web aware people can sort that out.
And good timing. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. And thank you for offering that up to the Trusted Referral Network members. So Jason, the other Jason Cement.
Jason number 2. I'm going to get a name tag, the other Jason. So my name is Jason Cement. I run a company called Get Visible. We're a digital marketing agency. We have offices in Los Angeles and in Scottsdale, and we have developers overseas. What we do is we have 3 prongs to our business. We build websites. We get traffic on search engines and on social media. So we'll get rankings, we run advertising, we develop content, we build out your voice through Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. And we're like a fully comprehensive agency. 2021, our plan is to start getting into the automation side of things with either SharpSpring or HubSpot or something like that, just to kind of close the gap on what happens to the traffic after we bring it. Every client is on a different platform. We're going to try to standardize that. What's unique about our firm is really my personal history. So I was a CPA back in 1990 for the top firm in the country that's focused on real estate accounting. And then I went to law school. I thought I was going to be an estate attorney, got sworn in after passing the bar and decided to go into business instead. So a lot of lawyers are jealous of me. And what happened was I started an e-commerce business back in '96. And it culminated in owning magazinesubscription.com. And so I was doing SEO before Google even existed. Google was actually my client. And they were buying every magazine in my catalog, and they were scanning everything for their algorithm. And so in 2003, I bought a software company that was building and managing my website. So now I had an e-commerce identity, because we were licensing it out. And then in 2005, one of my first employees in the magazine business, who had learned SEO, he said, why don't we offer SEO to your e-commerce clients? And that's how our agency started about 15 years ago. And so now we have added WordPress to our e-commerce capability, and we've built hundreds of websites, both with e-commerce and corporate sites. And we don't have any middle management. So even though we have 15 people, you still access me or my partner on most projects. And so I guess the one thing that is unique about us is that we always feel like there's never enough money, so we're constantly gaming the systems of how to stretch money. And that's it.
Thank you. Never enough money for yourselves or your clients, or both?
No, our clients always pretend they have money, whether they're billion-dollar companies or solopreneurs making money. They always feel like they're under pressure, so we know how to deal with that. And we're definitely not a premium priced company, but we give a premium service. So I call it the Lexus.
Lexus, very cool. Okay.
Lexus pricing, but Rolls Royce delivery.
Audrey.
I can relate, Jason. Hi, everybody. I'm a solo practitioner in South Florida. I'm an attorney, and I focus my practice on federal law, which is advertising, marketing, promotions law, intellectual property law, and privacy law. And I help small, medium businesses and small, medium agencies stay legally compliant with all 3 fields of law with their marketing campaigns. I also represent clients if they get letters from federal agencies, state agencies, or self-regulatory agencies. And most importantly, since we're all on the internet nowadays and websites are so incredibly important, I really truly try to help the clients be legally compliant with their website, because websites become, although they may, the client may be a small mom and pop shop locally, it doesn't matter. If you have a website, you are advertising nationally and internationally. So federal law does apply beyond, of course, state law does too. But as far as privacy law, it depends on who's on the other side of your website that determines which privacy law will attach to you. So I help clients be legally compliant, and I also check, as long as I'm helping the client be legally compliant on their website, I also help the client be legally compliant with ADA, which there seems to be a lot of litigation in that field. Like I said, I work with small, medium agencies, businesses, but I am industry agnostic because of what I do. It applies to everybody, regardless of size, regardless of product or service. Everybody needs to be compliant statewide and nationally, and privacy laws internationally. Even if you are located abroad, but your target is the US consumer, federal law still applies. So make sure that, my suggestion is, make sure that your websites are compliant. Next year, I'm going to focus on, well, obviously not letting COVID get in the way like this year. So, trying to do better with that. That hurt, but things are trickling in. So I'm just taking this time to try to redo my website and to set my goals for next year. Oh, one more thing. Victor, I'm going to the beach next week, so I'll tell you how Fetch Pro works. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. And Julie, I'm sorry I missed it, but we can catch up on a one-on-one.
It's recorded. You can go online.
Awesome.
And we didn't hear your husband today. What happened?
Oh, yeah.
Quiet?
He's not talking, but the dogs were playing, so I was worried about the dogs being loud. He's not on the phone.
Not on the phone. All right, good. So I will, I'll go. I didn't miss anybody, right? Nobody joined that I missed. Okay, it looks like I got everybody. So my name is Michael Bendit, and I have a company called Software Development Resources. I'm an independent sales rep for about 10 different software development teams. And a lot of the work we do is in the marketing space, which is why I founded a small networking group that Jason used to be a part of, actually, Jason Gardner, that is, before he moved to Paris, called the Marketing Network in New York. And that was sort of the seed for this idea of building out on a national level a trusted referral network for marketing, sales, and advertising people. My core business, though, representing software development teams, we really focus on the technical side of the work. So the teams are really programming shops more so than they are sort of digital marketing agencies. And so that's why we do a lot of work in partnership with digital marketing agencies that might not always have those resources in-house to do that type of work that might come over the transom. Some examples, I just recently got a Magento opportunity. There aren't, actually it's from a marketing shop, or actually it's from a client who was having the Magento system managed by their marketing agency. And their marketing agency does a really good job with marketing, but not such a great job on the Magento side. And Magento, it's an e-commerce platform, very complex. It takes a great deal of specialization and skill. So one of my teams, a couple of my teams work in that area. One of them is focused specifically on taking over, they call it rescue, right? So Magento rescue, because a lot of Magento implementations are not done so well. Another one that's pretty typical that recently came over the transom was for an expression engine content management system. Again, it's an older system. It used to be very popular. It's been eclipsed by WordPress, but some people want to stay on Expression Engine if they've already invested in it. So I do have a team that has that capability. great leads for me are digital marketing agencies that are looking to outsource or might consider outsourcing some of their development, and also startups. We do a lot of work with companies that are coming out with their first, minimum viable product, or they want to shift from a freelancer they may have started with to a more established team. New Year's resolution, while I'm still going, is to launch the website. It's almost the end of the year. I was hoping to have it out by end of November, but I'm prepping the data now. By the way, everybody on this call, of course, will have a page. I'm going to pre-populate it with some description that I'll find either on your LinkedIn or your websites. Feel free to modify that as you see fit once it comes out. But I don't want to launch with sort of an empty descriptions on each of the listings.